Hi, this is Aleksander Vitkin, and I'm here with Omar, who runs a creative agency. So he helps companies that are 6, 7, and sometimes 8 figures tackle their messaging, positioning, and he helps them build a premium brand that doesn't just compete on price, which is what most companies do. So he's basically helping people set up high-ticket offers through their branding and positioning, and that allows them to sell services and products that are not a commodity, right? So welcome, Omar.
Welcome, Alex. Thanks for having me.
What are some good news from your business over the past 6 to 12 months? Why should people listen to you?
It has been a journey of evolution, like coming into this whole game of branding. At first, like I was, tackling design parts, like this is how a whole person gets into the creative agencies, because you have something that you are a creative person, you are interested in design, or perhaps you have some kind of a video animation skills or something like that. And you decide that you're going to go into this type of business, a creative agency. And then what you realize is that once you start, you're tackling a lot of little aspects. Maybe you start with freelancing, and this is how it started for me. The whole journey is that I went into it from a freelancing perspective, and I was constantly working on developing my skills. But then as I continued to grow and looking for mentors, joining BMI, I kind of learned about more skills. I learned about marketing. I learned about copywriting. And these skills help you to elevate your standards and your skill level in the service that you're offering. And what happened was that I was able to shift from just being a freelancer into an agency that tackles bigger problems, right? Because not every designer is going to be able to sit with businesses and consult them on branding issues. Like not every designer is going to go in and say, oh yeah, you are competing with other businesses based on, pricing, and now we need to change your positioning and things like that. A lot of designers, they are operating from, if you want to say, like a order taking type of mindset, rather than sitting with a business owner and helping them tackle a real issue or a real challenge in their business. Throughout this journey, when I was developing my skills, now I understood that I could offer more than just design. And now, for example, I consult businesses solving a lot of their inner branding issues. And sometimes when it comes to branding, it could be an external problem, as in, you have your identity or your product positioning is not well taken care of. But then it could be also an inner culture. And that happens with a lot of big businesses is that, you could acquire a new business and now the whole team is not standing for the same message. You do not have the same values. And I could come in and say, all right, let's take a look at your values as a brand. What is it that you stand for? And what is it that you want your team to stand for as well? It was a journey of learning. I freelanced in this for about maybe 4 years. And then I started getting more mentors in the world of branding, joining BMI, learning about marketing, learning about copywriting, learning about sales. So now when I sit with a business owner, I'm not just taking a look at design, right? Like I'm taking a look at other things, because I do have an understanding of all these other skills. Now I can take a look at someone's copywriting and say, oh, you know what? Like your copy on the website or on your sales funnel is not really, first of all, it doesn't have a personality. It does not reflect what, the quality of the product and things like that. So I have a much more or a wider vision to sit with a business and tell them their problems in branding. So for me, it was a process of evolution.
For your business, how well is your business doing now?
My business right now, it's doing great. Like we're landing bigger clients. At first, a lot of startups. But now we get more startups as well. But now we are attracting more 6-figure, 7-figure, and even 8-figure. And I had the opportunity to speak to Fortune 500 companies as well with time. So in terms of the businesses that I work with, the quality keeps going higher and higher.
So what has allowed your clients, or what has allowed companies that you work with to improve their branding? What has allowed them to charge more money instead of selling a commodity cheaply?
When it comes to branding, I would say that the pricing part is only one little aspect of the whole equation, right? This could be a problem, for example, for a 6-figure business. But when it comes to an 8-figure, sometimes what they are looking for is not to make more money. There are different sets of challenges. And that's what I learned throughout the process, right? Is that if you are a startup, or if you are 5-figure, 6-figure, maybe you are dealing with this challenge of, yes, I want to make more money because, like I want to hire more people or I want to scale, etc., etc. For these businesses, when it comes to branding particularly, there are many parts that we tackle, and it starts with understanding like the whole brand foundations, the attributes of the brand, and then we would tackle this part and project, like we build a solid brand that has basis based on, like these foundations, as like the brand's voice, the brand's personality, the brand's values, and then reflect that professionally outside. Like it could be in the identity, in the copywriting, in the sales funnel. And this helps to project a much higher professional quality to what they are offering, rather than having, for example, a website that looks horrible, that is very bad. The user experience is horrible. Maybe the website does not match with the sales funnel. Maybe the colors are not coherent. And what happens with these type of businesses is that it's very hard to build trust and credibility with their audience, right? If you are trying to buy something from a business and through every touch point you go through, you realize that it's not coherent, the print messaging and personality on the website is not like the same on the Facebook or something like that, you sense that there is something like you don't have this level of trust. And what I particularly, or if we want to take a look at what branding does in particular, is we are dealing with confidence. We are dealing with trust, right? And you cannot like measure confidence or you cannot measure trust, but you can feel it. Whenever you are in touch with a business, you can say, like this business is a professional. They do have a high standard. They do take care of every little part throughout my customer journey. Unlike maybe other businesses, you go to their website, everything is not consistent, not coherent. They're like, I'm not sure like this business is solid. This helps in the process of making them more money if we are focusing on this part of branding. But for other businesses, if it's like a 7-figure or 8-figure, sometimes it's just that there are some kind of inner problems, like they are hiring a new developing team or they are hiring a new marketing team and they want them to stay consistent in their new campaigns, right? And how can you tell them to stay consistent in a new campaign? You would have to go to a branding expert to help you define the values of the brand so that when they are communicating with their marketing experts or new team members, then they can keep everything that's going to go out to the consumer to keep it consistent. It varies. Like branding is not just only about making businesses more money. This is part of it, but sometimes it deals with other challenges as well in a business.
What have you learned in the mastermind? So when you joined, what were you doing back then?
It's really funny because the way that I joined the mastermind, I was coming from this freelancer mode, right? Like I was consistently already making $2,000 per month when I first joined. And, I was still small, and I was thinking, like, I literally remember how I joined the mastermind was I was reading the book by Brian Tracy, No Excuses, and I was thinking, okay, how can I take my whole life into a whole new level? Like I had like set my goals for like 5K, 10K, 15K, and I was thinking, how can I achieve these goals? So I thought, okay, I need to look for masterminds. And then there was another member who said, you know what, like I'm in this mastermind, BMI, and I created this, like I had this big sale. I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Like I have this written down on my task list, like join a mastermind to help me to get to the next level, right? And he introduced me to you. So we got on a call. I entered the mastermind and my first goal was like 5K. That was like the dream at first, right? I was like, if I can only do 5K, like, man, I would change my whole life, right? I joined the mastermind, and to be honest, I learned a lot of things. Like it's almost like everything that I didn't know about business, like I learned it in BMI, right? When I first joined, I literally had no understanding what is lead generation or what is like prospecting, and I don't know what. Like I was kind of a order-taking freelancer, right? I didn't have any business mindset. I didn't have an understanding of how business works. For me, it was just, work, make money. Like literally, even when I was a freelancer, I had days where I couldn't go to sleep because I just was like taking orders and trying to make things work and things like that. And when I joined BMI, I was learning about sales, lead generation, marketing, copywriting. I'm like learning about so many different parts in a business that helped me to see what are my next steps. Because I think a major challenge when it comes for, let's say, a small business owner to scaling their business, I think that there is a lot of knowledge and the guidance is not there. And this is very, very hard. Like I didn't know what is lead generation, literally. Like, I'm not even like joking.
Yeah.
And when I joined, I was like, okay, what is this thing like lead generation? I don't know what, and things like that. And I got into it, and now I started to see like a process coming out of that. And I started taking myself out of design mode because, you know, like I still enjoy design, but I want to scale my business. I don't want to be like a designer and having like these freelance days where I'm sitting, or, you know, like I spend the whole day not sleeping or something like that in order to produce work. I don't want that anymore. That was like a period of my life that I'm over with. I was learning everything from BMI, lead generation, sales. I think that was also huge to understand like how to speak to prospects and to speak to several business owners. Funny fact is that a couple of days ago, I was following up with older clients, and I was taking a look at how many clients I had booked throughout, you know, since I joined BMI. And I literally had about something between like 600 to 700 phone calls with business owners with like just sales calls. And I think like if you're going to go through 600, 700 legit business calls, and we're not talking like a short 5 minute like hello, you know, or something like that. We're talking about like at least 45 to 1 hour of phone call. You're going to learn something, right? First, BMI provided, like, we started with the 7-step. You remember like the 7-step process? Yeah, I was hammering on this process like all the time. And to be honest, I still do as well. When I get on a phone call, I have like my whole sheet. I sit down and I like to understand where I am in the process, because if you are a creative, or if you are a small business owner and you are just starting out with sales, you cannot wing it. Like, you have to understand that like there is like a 1, 2, 3 step process, and you got to understand where are you in the process. Because if you're not doing that, you're literally wasting your time. You got to understand where you are. You got to understand which part of the process you got to improve on, and things like that. And then something else that comes with the mastermind is the ability to practice with other members. You are networking with everyone. If you have a challenge you get, for example, on Timmy's call, you say, hey, listen, step number 2 or step number 3, I have a problem with that. Can you help me with that? Sometimes you can get along with other members, do a mock-up call or something. And, you know, like you practice your sales process. So many things that, I mean, everything business related, especially coming from a freelance background, I learned it. Like the main foundations, what is it, like the main points, or the super solid foundations that you need to stay consistent with, regardless of the so many tasks you have on your list. You know exactly what you need to stay focused on. Like, it's not going to be like project management. It's not going to be like doing some weird stuff or something like that. You got to understand, man, like you got to hammer it down to like lead generation, sales, and of course, improve your skills in other areas, you know?
And what would you recommend to guys who are freelance creative guys who don't want to be freelance creative guys anymore, or who want to scale to like build like a big business, or want to travel the world and be entrepreneurs and stuff like that? Like, what would you advise those guys? Because obviously some of them, they want the low level responsibility and just be creative, which is fine, right? But what about the guys who want to be entrepreneurs and want to build like a big business and stuff like that? What would you advise those guys?
The first thing that I would advise a person who wants to step into entrepreneur mode, I would tell them like,
person,
right. So first thing that they would have to deal with and understand is, of course, no more hands-on in the project. Like, no more, don't design regardless of what. Like, you gotta start to find talent who are better than you, and you have to deal with it as a designer. Put your ego on the side. I love design and designing, but I know there are people who are even more awesome than me, and I'm fine with that. I want to hire those guys, right? So that's the first thing you gotta deal with. Once you deal with that, then you gotta start to find your blueprint of how to scale, right? You gotta understand what are going to be your next steps. You gotta find, start scaling in terms of find new designers. You got to hammer down on your sales process. You got to start to look into your business as a machine, and rather than you are doing every single thing on your own. And apart to get this blueprint, if you don't have the idea how to scale your creative freelancing business, then you would need to at least join a community who are doing that, to give you a blueprint, to give you a direction into what are going to be your next steps. But again, it goes back to the very first step. You got to understand that enough putting your hands in the projects. Just stop with that. You're not going to go anywhere, because I dealt with that. But yeah, again, like you can do the creative stuff, but maybe you don't have to do it for business purposes anymore. And also you will have the experience to really guide other designers and to guide other team members once you start hiring and scaling. You can use all your knowledge that you have in this area. It's going to really help you in hiring people and understanding who has the right qualities or the right skills for them to work with you. You're going to have this solid knowledge, right? Stop putting your hands in the project, find a blueprint and start scaling, getting yourself outside a little bit by bit.
Who shouldn't, like, which types of creative people should not get into business? Because certainly did a lot of those. So who should not get into business?
You should not get into business. First of all, like, man, I would say even beyond like skills or anything, it's mindset, to be honest. Like it is all mindset, because you got to understand like the journey is not like, oh, like now I have a business and everything's going to be like, woo, I'm going to like create a super solid business. And, you know, there are going to be ups and downs, and you got to be like super solid with your emotional part, right? You got to understand, you got to get your mindset super solid.
Focus on the data. Creative people sometimes, not all of them, sometimes in a business setting, don't focus on the data in terms of this is my revenue, this is my profit, and here's how it's been growing or not growing. That's something that people need to learn. Everyone needs to look at the numbers. There's just no way of avoiding it, because otherwise you don't know what's happening, and it's a business, so no one's going to look at it for you. No accountant, no one's going to look at it for you if you don't do it. So, and if they do, then you still need to understand it, because you need to make decisions based on it, right? Like, so you still need to do it, period.
Right. I mean, data is, of course, like it's super important. But again, like, to be honest, I feel like everything data related could be acquired, could be learned with time. If a creative person, like the type of creative person who cannot do a business is a person who is emotionally unstable. If they don't have this part hammered down, if you are not like solid, you know, like if you're scared about everything all the time, you know, like you got to have like strong confidence in yourself that you can make stuff. Because again, it goes up and down. So mindset needs to be hammered. Second thing is you got to understand, you've got to put your ego on the side and stop being creative inside your business. If you just want to keep creating all the time, and if all what you're doing is maybe enhancing or taking courses in design, maybe business is not going to be for you, because you got to look in other directions. You got to learn about like sales. You got to learn about copywriting. You got to learn about more high income, valuable skills along the way. And you got to understand that design, there's always going to be someone good in design. But in terms of, for example, strategy thinking, to sit with a business owner and to look at their marketing and understand what's happening in their market, that is a skill. And you got to push, you got to take courses in like these areas. It's not only just about design. Creative is cool, but you've got to expand more than that. And plus, you can find always a great designer. You can give them like the courses, you can give them the education they want to be better and to produce better quality for your business. But for yourself as a business owner, you got to stop with just being super creative all the time, trying to create things. You got to step out of that. If you cannot do that, it's going to be really hard for you to get into business.
Yeah, follow a working business model. We have a BMI working business model. That's one example. Just follow that, follow some other one, but preferably follow that one because it actually works. Build it to 6 figures, and then you can be very creative, scaling it and whatever. And while doing it, you can also be creative, just in a different way, just channeling that energy somewhere else. And then you can have the creative part of the process as a hobby. So that doesn't mean you need to deliver on deadlines every single day and all that stuff. You can just have it as a hobby because you're still involved, and maybe you do a little bit yourself, but just as a hobby, just to like get better, just to learn from all these people you're working with rather.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, to be honest as well, what you learn is that, because in our culture, we believe that being creative is all, it comes down to art. And of course, like the more visual things get, the more you can say, oh, this is like super creative. Like this guy's splashing colors and I don't know, that looks like a creative person. Right. But even sometimes, like you can be like a creative person or working in a creative industry, but you're still not creative. For example, like, like the mass production of paintings in China or something like that. Like they copy stuff, like you give them like a whole, image, and they keep painting the same thing over and over again, which is not creative. And what you said is that you could be creative with the processes. It's creative thinking that matters. You could still be creative in different parts of the business, in scaling your business, or in kind of the processes of how systems interact together. there could be, you could bring your creativity to other parts than just the design and the drawing part of it, which I believe as well, like these could be hobby stuff. You don't have to pressure yourself just designing for clients all the time. I don't do that. Like I still like drawing, and I could sit down and draw, but I wouldn't sell, like I want to make a business out of that. It's just for me because I love it, right?
Unless you maybe once per year you get one client that you can have full freedom in delivering, right? So maybe then it could actually be worth it just doing one project yourself, but that's really not the focus of the business, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. Very, very possible, yeah.
Anyway, well, good insights. Thank you very much, Omar. Very nice seeing your growth throughout last year. Very, very impressive. And your business is doing really well right now as well. So, and good to hear your clients are doing well as well.
Thank you.
So thanks for sharing all that.
Sure, Alex, no problem.
And then for everyone else, if you're watching this and you have any questions, do comment below. I love replying to comments, smart comments, not all comments. But yeah, if you'd like more for videos about marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.